I didn't give him the money because I was rich. I gave it because I was his mother. That used to mean something. I remember the day I signed the paperwork like it just happened yesterday. Noah was sitting across from me at the kitchen table, eyes bloodshot from sleepless nights, hands trembling as he slid the documents toward me. He'd just finalized his divorce, lost half the house, full custody of the kids, and was drowning in late mortgage notices. I could still hear his voice, cracked, almost childlike. "Mom, I just need this one chance to start over." So I gave it to him. I sold my 2-bedroom cottage, the one your father built his birdhouses behind, the one with my rose garden, packed it up, cashed out early from my retirement savings, and moved into a second-floor apartment with thin walls and no elevator. The kind of place where the heat groans all night and the neighbor's dog barks through the wall. I didn't complain. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself that's what mothers do. We went to the bank together, Noah and I. I co-signed the new mortgage. He couldn't qualify a loan. We sat across from a young loan officer with acrylic nails and a messy bun who smiled too much and probably thought I was just some sweet old lady backing up her son. And maybe I was. The papers said joint ownership. My name was there in black and white. Security for him, security for me. I never asked for rent, for gratitude, or even a room in the house. All I wanted was to still belong, to still be his. That Christmas, we hung stockings together with the boys. The littlest one called me Mimi and tried to feed me marshmallows. I still have that photo. I thought that was the start of healing. Turns out it was just a pause in the unraveling. People think revenge story means anger or fire, but mine doesn't start with rage. It starts with sacrifice. Quiet, tender, inconvenient sacrifice. The kind only a mother makes, blindly, willingly, without asking what it'll cost. Back then, I didn't know he'd erase my name, that he'd smile across the table and say, "Thank you," while already holding the pen that would one day sign me out of the life I helped him rebuild. No. Back then, I still believed in family, that love meant something permanent. Back then, I still believed I was welcome. The wind cut sharper than I expected that morning. I'd spent the night before baking lemon bars and wrapping the space-themed Lego set Ethan begged for last summer. He was 6. I figured he still remembered. I wore the red scarf he picked out at the drugstore last year, said it made me look like Mrs. Claus, but cooler. I laughed then. I laughed when it still meant something. I parked 3 houses down. Didn't want to crowd the driveway. I even checked my reflection twice in the rearview mirror, smiled to soften the wrinkles. My hands trembled just a little as I carried the gift bag and the Tupperware dish up to the porch. The door opened faster than I expected. And there he was, Noah, hair neatly combed, sweater crisp. His face froze for half a second. Then he stepped outside, closing the door behind him like I was some salesperson about to ruin Christmas dinner. "Mom, I told you, Sarah's not comfortable with you coming by today." Just like that. No Merry Christmas, no hug, not even a thanks for the cookies. I blinked, tried to keep my voice steady. "It's just a quick visit. I made the lemon bars Ethan likes. I just want to give him his gift." He sighed, looked down. "We're trying to keep things calm. He's been overstimulated lately." Overstimulated, like I was some kind of emotional hazard. I looked past him, hoping maybe Ethan would peek through the curtains. But all I saw was their Christmas tree, glowing, full, perfect, and not one ornament I recognized, not even the one Ethan made in preschool with my photo glued in the middle. I swallowed hard. "Noah, I co-signed this house. The least I deserve is to see my grandson open a present." His jaw tightened. "Mom, please don't make this harder than it is." I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just set the lemon bars down gently on the welcome mat, handed him the gift bag, and stepped back. "Merry Christmas," I said softly. "Give him my love." He didn't say anything, just stood there while I walked back to the car, hands shaking, chest hollow. And here's where I want to ask you, those of you who've been through something like this, when did your child stop looking at you like you mattered? You can tell me in the comments. I'll read everyone. I sat behind the wheel for a long time, The lemon bars were already frosting over in the cold. I wasn't angry yet. That would come later. Right now, all I felt was something deeper. A kind of ache you can't explain. The kind that settles in when you realize your place in their life isn't missing, it's been removed. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I left the porch light on like I always do, like maybe someone might change their mind, but no one did. I sat at the kitchen table with the gift bag still unopened and the leftover lemon bars staring back at me from the counter like they'd betrayed me, too. The apartment was cold, that kind of cold that doesn't come from the air, but from the silence. The next morning, I went to sort through the week's mail. That's when I saw it. An envelope from the county assessor's office. Just routine property documents, I figured. But when I opened it, something caught me off guard. Only one name was listed on the property record now. Noah Dean. Mine was gone. At first, I thought it was a clerical error, maybe a new formatting system. But the more I stared at the page, the more my stomach dropped. I went to my little filing cabinet and pulled out the original paperwork from when we refinanced the house. My name was right there, clear as day. Joint ownership. Now it was gone. I called the office. The woman on the phone was polite but firm. According to the title transfer filed in 2021, the property was legally reassigned to Mr. Dean as sole owner. But I never signed anything, I said. I was on that title. I co-signed the loan. She hesitated. If you'd like to contest the record, you'll need to file an affidavit and provide the original deed, Gimmas. I thanked her, hung up, and just sat there. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at that single sheet of paper, the one that erased me with a signature I never gave. Do you know what it feels like to be written out of your own story? Not just ignored, erased. I started going through every drawer, every box I'd kept since that signing day, digging for proof, looking for something, anything up to say, I was here, I mattered, this was mine too. But all I found were old receipts, holiday cards, and a family photo from a Christmas 3 years ago. Noah had his arm around me, Ethan sat in my lap with a candy cane, and I remember thinking when we took it, this is home. But now, looking at it, all I saw was a snapshot of a life I no longer belonged to. And the scariest part, it wasn't that they forgot me, it's that they planned to. I didn't go back to bed that night. I stayed at the kitchen table, fingers curled around a lukewarm mug of tea that I never even sipped. My eyes kept drifting to that property record like it might suddenly apologize or explain itself. But it didn't. It just sat there. Quiet. Final. By sunrise, I knew what I had to do. I pulled on an old coat, found the folder with my original mortgage documents, and drove across town to see Marla, a retired notary and an old friend from church. She used to sign off on half the documents for our neighborhood before everything went digital. And more than that, she's the kind of woman who doesn't believe in pretending things are okay when they're not. She opened the door in fuzzy slippers and a bathrobe, her hair still wrapped in a towel. "You look like hell," she said. "That's about right," I replied. We sat at her kitchen table, next to a window where the light hit the wood just right, like it always did in the mornings. I laid out the papers, the original deed with both our names, and the new title Noah had filed without me. She didn't speak for a long time, just studied the pages with her glasses low on her nose, lips pressed tight. Then she said, "That signature on the transfer? It's not yours, not even close." She pulled out an old folder from a drawer and showed me one she notarized for me back in 2019. Side by side, the difference was obvious. The loops, the slant, the pressure. "This was forged, Margaret. Sloppy, too. Whoever did it thought no one would check." I stared at the papers, my heart pounding, not from fear, but from clarity. He hadn't just forgotten me. He'd removed me, deliberately, silently. I felt something shift in my chest, not rage, not heartbreak, something quieter, resolve. I gathered the papers slowly, slid them back into the folder. Marla didn't ask what I planned to do. She didn't have to. As I stood to leave, she said, "Whatever you decide, make sure you do it for the right reason." And I knew what that was. Not revenge, not spite. but to reclaim what was mine and remind them I wasn't invisible. I walked out of her house with nothing more than a folder and a quiet fire in my bones. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt like I had a grip on the story again. I didn't tell anyone what I was planning. Not Marla, not my sister, not even my neighbor who always seems to know everyone's business. I just got quiet. Quiet, but busy. I spent the next 2 weeks combing through every piece of paperwork I had. Bank transfers, tax forms, email threads, every document I ever signed with Noah. I kept it all in a manila folder labeled House, though now, looking at it, I almost wanted to rename it Erasure. But I wasn't interested in pity. I wanted clarity. I met with a legal aid attorney, young, sharp, and matter-of-fact. She confirmed everything I already knew in my gut. This was fraud, and you're still legally entitled to your portion of the property, but you have options beyond that. I didn't want to take the house back. I didn't want to sue him just to prove I could. I wanted my name back, in my own story. That week, I learned Noah was preparing to buy a new home. Bigger, newer, with a better school district for Ethan. He hadn't told me, of course. But I heard about it through the woman who used to do his closing documents. Small towns have long memories. I called an old friend from my teaching days. She and her husband flip houses. I asked her if she'd consider buying the new property before Noah closed under her LLC, not to keep it, just to block him from moving forward, to remind him that I still existed. She didn't even hesitate. You want quiet? I'll give you quiet. Noah never knew it was me. All he received was a letter from the seller. The deal fell through. The property's been sold. I didn't gloat. I didn't call him. I didn't post about it. I just sat in my apartment that night, poured myself a glass of tea, and opened the window. For the first time, the air didn't feel heavy. It felt mine. Some wins aren't loud. Some don't come with applause or explanation. But they're still wins. And while he was out there scrambling for his next big plan, I was planting my feet in solid ground again. I used part of my old savings, what was left, to put a down payment on a small place near Ethan's school. Nothing fancy, but quiet, safe, mine. No more waiting to be welcomed in. This time, the door is already mine to open. It took 2 more months before Ethan showed up at my new doorstep. He came with his after-school sitter, a woman I'd never met before, holding a paper bag with crayons sticking out the top and a zip-up hoodie half slipping off one shoulder. The sitter smiled awkwardly. He insisted, said he had something for his grandma. I knelt down as he handed me a folded piece of paper. His eyes were wide and serious, like he was delivering a message more important than either of us could understand. It was a drawing, a little house with a red door and flowers that looked like lollipops. In front of it, 2 stick figures, one taller, one smaller, holding hands. Above it, in uneven blue marker, Grandma's real home. I didn't cry right away. I just held him close and said, "This is perfect, sweetheart." That weekend, he stayed with me. We baked cookies from a box and painted the mailbox blue because mailboxes get sad if they're all gray. He slept on the couch even though I had a room ready. Said he liked being close to the kitchen so he could smell breakfast early. We didn't talk about Noah or Sarah or the old house. We just laughed. The next morning, I tacked the drawing to the fridge, right next to an old photo from years ago. The last Christmas we spent together before things started to crack. That night, I sat on the porch with a blanket over my knees and a mug of tea warming my hands. The wind was quiet. The sky had that deep navy color it only gets when the world is finally done rushing. And I realized I wasn't waiting anymore. Not for a phone call, not for an apology, not for some dramatic moment where someone finally said, "You were right." I already knew. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply not disappear. To stand still when someone tries to erase you. To keep loving, not louder, but deeper. I didn't win with revenge. I won with presence. And I'm still here. Have you ever been made to feel like your love didn't count? Like your years of giving were just expected? If so, tell me below. You're not invisible here, I see you.